everybody, and welcome back to another session with Dr. Papori Barooah. This is English with Dr. Papori Barooah, and we are going to do the part 3 of parts of speech. We are going to talk about the verbs in the English language and also something like the subject and the object and the complement, and also the verbals or the participles, gerunds and infinitives. So let's get going. Now when we talk about the verbs, now what is it that comes to your head? A verb is the most important element in a sentence. A single verb can form an entire sentence, and hence it is very important to understand the verbs totally. Or in fact, what we are going to try and do here is that try and show you how you can recognize a verb in a sentence and how it works in the sentence. So let us talk about the characteristics of the verbs. The first characteristic, as I said, is that it is the most important element in a sentence. Secondly, only a single verb can form a sentence. Like in this word, go. Go. If somebody tells go, it's an exclamatory mark or a full stop, the sentence is complete. We understand it means you go. So, one word, only a verb with a single verb can form a sentence, an entire sentence in the English language. Now, if we talk about verbs, let us now show you the chart where I've tried to put together all the verbs in the sentence, or we try to classify them. For our convenience, we have divided the verbs into 3 groups there. The verbs can be divided into an action verb, linking verb and a helping verb. When we talk about action verb, it is nothing like just some words which have an S at the back or ing or ed. So it's something like when we talk about a verb which is action verb, it is a word which you see happening. Like it's a doing word. After all, the verb is a doing word. So if somebody says kicks, we see the kick happening before us. Someone is kicking somebody. So we see or boxing or slapping. I'm going very violent here, but I'm trying to show you what an action verb actually does. But even if I say he is thinking, the thinking, thinking is happening in the head, still it is an action verb which we cannot see. And hence action verbs are the most abundant and recognizable when we talk about verbs in the language. So it can normally, the word endings for the action verb, they are S as in kick plus S, kicks, or ing, kick plus ing, or in the past tense plus ed, kick plus ed. So these words, these word endings will try and help you out to recognize the verb in the sentence. Now we have a famous verb now which we use so often. Let us Google it. So we are so much addicted to the internet and we use it so often that when I tell Google, which originally was the name of a search engine there, now we search so much in the Google, we say just Google it. It means Google is here used as a verb. So I'm Googling it. So ing. He Googles it. Or he Googled it. So these word endings will give it the shape of an action verb. Secondly, we have something called a linking verb. Now when we tell a linking verb, something like if you look back to the first part 1 of parts of speech, I have talked about the linking verb. So linking verb is something that links up the 2 parts of the sentence. Like he is a doctor. He and doctor are linked by is. So normally we have linking verbs like is, am, are, was, were, be and being. These are the be verbs in the language, normally used as the linking verbs. Or has, had, have. They are also the linking verbs in the language. Third variety is the helping verb, and helping verbs normally again are the be verbs plus has, had, have, and one special category there, the modal auxiliary verbs. Can, could, will, would, shall, should, may, might, ought to, need to, dare to. So we need to remember modal verbs are all helping verbs, and hence they can never ever occur alone in a sentence. They will always need the help of a main verb. But when we talk about action verbs, they can always occur alone in a sentence. So this particular chart is just a way to bring together all the verbs and name them categorically. But when we talk about really trying to identify in a sentence, it is more important to recognize them as verbs. But if you are very, very thorough with the verbs, you can always name them. But for me, when I talk about using verbs and trying to make students understand the concept there, it is more important to really understand or recognize which are the verbs in the language. And of course, if you are very good at it, you can always name them. Now let us go and try and analyze what are the characteristics of a verb. Now when we take a tail, say for instance, it takes the verb, it takes the S, the verb takes the S. What is it? Let me show you. Now say for instance in this here we have I sing. So sing is the verb. You sing. And then we have he sings. Now when I tell I, it is the first person. So it's a first person singular. But when I tell you, I am the first person, you is a second person, and he is a third person. I am single, I'm talking about only you are single, and he is single. So it's like first person, second person, and third person. I am talking to you, talking to about the third person there. Third person singular, the verb will take an S. He walks, he kicks, he dances, right? The S will always be there with the third person. The verb in the third person will only singular will always take the S. But when we have the plural form like they, it is not sings, it is they sing. So this is the most important rule or the characteristic of a verb. That just remember it like that. The third person singular, the verb will take an S. So when we talk about the characteristics, it is about the number and the person, or the plural or the singular, and first person, second person, or third person. So this is an important characteristic of the verb. The second characteristic is tenses. We have the three tenses, the present, the past, and the future. The tenses will be dealt with in detail in another chapter. But for now, you just remember, tense is also the aspect or characteristic of a verb. Now, when we talk about tense, we need to just remember one thing for ourselves, is that the tense, if you have many verbs together, like say, he is walking, is walking. We have two verbs together, is and walking. Now here, is the helping verb and walking is the main verb. Remember that always the helping verb will only tell the tense. So it will become he was walking, is walking, was walking, will be walking. So just the first helping verb will tell you whether that particular sentence is in the present, past, or future tense. The third aspect, which is also very important, is the mood of the speaker. It tells, the verb will always tell the mood of the speaker, like what is the attitude of the speaker. This is also something that we have to deal in detail in another chapter, but I just mentioned it because you need to know the three main characteristics of the noun, that is the number, person, tense, and mood. So here it is like when we talk about the, whether that particular sentence expresses the attitude of the speaker, or whether it's a question, whether it's a command or a question or a statement of fact, things like that will actually be associated with the characteristic of mood in a sentence. Now let us come to something which is very, very important. That is the subject, object, and complement in a sentence. Now normally in the exams, what they'll do is that they'll give you a sentence and tell you do this and do that with that sentence. I always tell my students, the first thing that you need to do when you get a particular sentence is underline the verb. Recognizing the verb is the most important thing. You underline the verb and then you ask a question to the verb which will give you the subject and the object or the complement. Now what is it all about? So let's get going. Say for instance, Shalu has a car. Shalu has a car. The word has is a verb. We know it. It's a verb. Now it is alone in the sentence. This itself is the main verb. So only modal auxiliary verbs, they will need another verb to express the full meaning, because modals are always helping verbs. But when we talk about has, it can itself be the single verb and itself be the main verb, and here it is the linking as well as the main verb. Don't have to get to all those details. Just remember which is the verb in the sentence, has. Now if I tell Shalu has a car, now I tell you what we need to do is that in order to find the subject and the object, first of all take out the verb and ask a WH question before the verb, right? What, alright, or say who has a car. So we took out the verb and I ask a question, WH, anything, who, what, where, when, which, how. So I just ask, who has a car? The answer is Shalu. And that particular answer is the subject of the sentence. Now again I have to find out the object. What do? I tell Shalu has, I take the verb and I ask a WH after the verb. Shalu has what? The answer is car. And that particular answer is the object of the sentence. So we have to remember one thing, that when we talk about trying to find out the object of the sentence, first of all we take out the verb and ask a WH before the verb. And if you have to take out the object of a sentence or a complement, we have to take the verb and add the WH after the verb. Like in this sentence, Shalu is a doctor. Now I just want to show you the difference between these two sentences. When I tell Shalu has a car, what I am trying to do is that I am showing you Shalu as a human being and car as another object. Hence, Shalu is not equal to the car. But when I tell Shalu is a doctor, Shalu and doctor are both the same person there. So there is a difference. In the first part, that is Shalu has a car, these two sides of the verb, that is Shalu and car, are not equal to each other. But in the second sentence, this part and this part are equal to each other. And hence when I take out the verb is and I ask who is a doctor, the answer is Shalu. It is the subject of the sentence. Again I take out the verb, Shalu is what? Because I have to add the WH after the verb. Shalu is what? The answer is doctor, and it is not the object. It is known as the complement of the sentence. So we just need to remember that. Take out the verb, ask the questions to the verb, and for the complement, the difference is that both the sides of the verb will be talking about the same person, same thing, and hence it is known as a complement. Now, the subject and object, if we talk about it, let's try and in more detail there. Like Shalu has a car, as you know, has is a verb, and here Shalu is a name of somebody, name of a girl. Hence, it is a noun. You name it, it's a noun. And just now I told you that Shalu here refers to the subject of the sentence. And secondly here, car is also a name of something, and I can tell cars, I can pluralize it, hence also it's a noun. And it is known as the object of the sentence. Now let me replace it. I am replacing Shalu with she, and I am replacing car with it. Now here if I ask who has it, the answer is she. She has what? The answer is it. Again here, she is the subject of the sentence, it is the object of the sentence. From your earlier lessons in grammar, you know that she, it, these are pronouns. Hence, we realize that this pronoun can also be the subject of a sentence. And it can also be the subject of the sentence. This is another, it's not the subject, it's the object of the sentence. So what I'm trying to tell you is that to be a subject or an object, it has to be a noun or a pronoun. Very important to remember that it has to be a noun or a pronoun. And hence, but also we need to remember when the subject is not equal to the object, and both the things, subject and object, are not equal to each other. But when I tell it is, say, the complement, it's a little different thing here. Shalu is a doctor, and it is again, Shalu is a noun subject, doctor is again a noun, but it is known as the complement. It completes the meaning of the sentence. Now when I tell Shalu is a doctor there, the doctor, what is Shalu? Or if I just tell Shalu is, the answer is not complete. Shalu is what? I can say it's an artist, as a singer, but here I've said it's a doctor. And hence the word doctor is necessary to complete the meaning of the sentence. And hence, and again, Shalu and doctor refers to the same person. It completes the meaning, and hence it's a complement. The word doctor can be pluralized, doctors, and hence it is a noun, and hence it is a noun complement. Now, I think we just need to put it into our head that Shalu and doctor are the same persons, and hence it is the same person, and hence it is the complement. Do not try to make it very, very complex. Just remember the difference between the subject, object, and complement there. Now, one more sentence here. Shalu is beautiful. Shalu is beautiful. And which is the verb? Is. Shalu, noun. Who is beautiful? Shalu is beautiful. Therefore, Shalu is the noun subject. But if I tell Shalu is what? The answer is beautiful. Now that is what? That is known as it is an adjective. Beautiful has an opposite word. And it completes the meaning of the sentence. If I just tell Shalu is, I might say ugly, dirty, irritating, so many words. But I am using the word beautiful. It's an adjective that is describing Shalu. But again, it completes the meaning of the sentence, and hence it is a complement. What I'm trying to say is that when I talk about the subject and the object of a sentence, it is always a noun or a pronoun. But when I'm trying to talk about the complement of the sentence, it can be a noun, it can be a pronoun, and it also can be an adjective. Alright. Now, hence, as I said, complements completes the meaning of the sentence. Now if you're clear with the object, subject, and complement, now let us try and move to one more important thing there, phrases and clauses. Now when I'm trying to analyze the verbs before you, these things are an integral part of the verb family, verbs in the language, and hence phrases and clauses. Now look at this sentence. Rachna is a good girl. Rachna is a good girl. The word is the verb. Now if I tell, now who is a good girl, the answer you get is Rachna, which is a noun and the subject. And if I tell Rachna is what? It's a girl. So it is the noun again, but completes the meaning, and Rachna and girl refers to the same person. It is the complement. Now if I tell what type of a girl is it, it's an adjective. We need to remember between an article and a noun, only an adjective can come there. And more so, we have an opposite word for the good word, good, bad. And hence also it's an adjective there. Now, if that is the case here, Rachna is a good girl, we just need to remember very simple thing. Whenever there is a verb, it's a clause. But without a verb, it's a phrase. Now, as many verbs are there in the sentence, that many clauses will be there in the sentence. Now here, Rachna is a good girl. How many verbs are there? Just one. And hence, in this sentence, there's just one clause there. Now, But when we talk about the phrases, it's very easy to remember. All others are phrases. Now here Rachna is a good girl. The whole thing has one verb, one clause. But that word Rachna is itself a phrase because it is a noun. Again, a good girl. A is an article, good is an adjective, and girl is a noun. It has no verb in between, and hence it is a phrase there. Okay, now let me try and tell you how many types of phrases are there. It will not be all comprehensive. I'm just going to tell you the basic minimal necessary knowledge that you really need when you're talking about trying to identify the verbs, the nouns, the phrases and clauses in a sentence, because later on we'll have to talk about the subordinate clause, the simple sentence, complex sentence, compound sentence, things like that. And once this is clear for you, it'll be a cakewalk in grammar. So let us talk about again the same sentence. Rachna is a good girl. So in this sentence, is the verb. Who is a good girl? Rachna. It is the subject of the sentence. But since we want to talk about the phrases there, this one, Rachna itself, one word can form the phrase. It is one noun and hence it is a noun phrase. But if we talk about a good girl, a is an article and good is an adjective. Only the word good can be an adjective phrase, good girl, if I'm talking about that. But if I just try to take from a good girl, the whole thing there, it is known as a noun phrase. Because it is beginning with an article, ends with a noun, it is known as a noun phrase. So we've come to know about two types of phrases there. One is a noun, a single noun can form a phrase, and one is an adjective phrase, which is an adjective plus a noun, good girl. But when we talk about a noun phrase, it can have a good girl. The whole three words together will form a noun phrase. So inside one phrase, there can be another phrase. Say a good girl, this whole thing is a noun phrase. Inside the noun phrase, we have good girl, which is an adjective phrase. So again, say for instance, he dances in the rain. Now here, verb is dances. Who dances? He. So he is the subject of the sentence and a pronoun. But we do not have a pronoun phrase. So in the rain, in is it is the preposition. After that, the article the is there. And for every preposition, there will be a noun and hence the noun rain. Now whole thing in the rain is the prepositional phrase because it is beginning with a preposition. Okay. Now again, the dog runs fast here. Runs is the verb. Who runs fast? Dog is the subject of the sentence. How does the dog run? This is known as the adverb, and therefore it's the adverbial phrase in the sentence. So we have come to know about 4 types of phrases here, and there are more, but for now at this stage I would like you to concentrate only on these 4 types of phrases in the sentence. Later we'll have infinitival phrases and things like that. Now one more thing it's very important to realize is that how the way it occurs, the particular word occurs in a sentence will make it or give it a name. For instance, I love football. Who loves football? I. Subject, pronoun. I love what? Football. Object, noun. Now if I tell, this is it, right? So this is football. It's a name of an object there, and hence it is a noun. It's a noun, and of course it is an object. Now if I tell I am watching a football game, which is the verb, am watching. Who is watching? I. I is a subject pronoun. Now a football game, what am I watching? Game, and hence it is a noun. What type of a game is it? It's a football game, and hence it is describing the game, and hence anything that describes the noun or the pronoun is an adjective, and hence football is here an adjective. The football was the noun there. The same thing when it's used in different ways in different places, the part of speech changes. Now let me talk about another part which is known as the verbals. The verbals, very simple definition. Verbals are verbs which do not act like a verb. If I am a teacher and I do not act like a teacher and I act like a friend to you, I am also, this is the quality that I am talking about when we talk about verbals. There are three types of verbals in the language: infinitivals, gerunds, and participles. Now let us see how they work in a particular sentence, because when you try to find out or identify the parts of speech in a sentence, we'll have to know which is a gerund, which is a participle and infinitival. So the sentence here, for instance, I love to cook in my kitchen here. I love to cook in the kitchen. Which is the verb in the sentence? Love. Love is a verb. Who loves to cook? You find out the subject of the sentence, asking WH before the verb. Who loves to cook? I. I is the subject of the sentence. Now if I tell to cook in my kitchen, cooking seems like a verb. But here in this sentence, before cook, the word to is there. Whenever in a sentence, there is a combination of the to preposition plus a verb. To dance, to walk, to cook, to sing. Both of these are, you can say, married to each other, and hence they lose their qualities, and the preposition to will no longer be a preposition, and the word verb cook will no longer be a verb. Both of them together will get a new name, infinitival. So what is an infinitival? To plus a verb. Both of them losing their qualities forever. So in this sentence, to cook is an infinitival. In my kitchen, in is a preposition, my is a pronoun, and kitchen is a noun, and hence in my kitchen is a phrase which does not have a verb, and in is a preposition, hence in my kitchen is a prepositional phrase there. So it's to plus an infinitival. So to plus a preposition is an infinitival. Now here in this sentence, swimming is my hobby. Is a verb. And I ask, what is my hobby? The answer is swimming. But if I tell swimming is here the subject of the sentence, won't you agree? Because I'm asking the WH before the verb is. What is my hobby? And hence I'm getting the answer swimming. And hence it's a noun because it is in the subject position. And a noun ending in ing has a separate name. It's a gerund. So here swimming is a gerund. That is a noun ending in ing. Similarly, if I tell I love swimming, which is the verb love. Who loves? I. I is the subject of the sentence. I love what? Swimming. Swimming is the object of the sentence. Now here, I and swimming are two different things, and hence they are subject and object. But we just said sometime back, in order to be the subject and object of a sentence, it has to be a noun or a pronoun. So hence it is not a pronoun, it's a noun. Noun ending in ing is a gerund. So this is it for the gerund, that is nouns ending in ing. Again in this sentence, the talking parrot amused the guest there. Now which is the verb? Amused. Who amused? Parrot. What type of a parrot? Talking parrot. The word talking is describing the parrot. Any word that describes is an adjective. And hence it's, but here the word talking, if I just tell he is talking, talking is a verb. But here it is acting like an adjective. An adjective ending in ing, it has another name, participle. So talking is a participle. Again in this sentence, the broken window was repaired. Was repaired is the verb. What was repaired? Window, which is the subject of the sentence. What type of a window was repaired? Broken. En ending word. Hence ing ending words and en ending words, when they act like adjectives, they are known as participles. So this is the way you write it. Just remember what is the difference between verb and verbal. Verbs act like they are doing words, but verbals do not act like verbs. So there are three types of verbals. One is an infinitival, that is to plus a preposition. One is a gerund, that is nouns ending in ing. And one is a participle, that adjectives ending in ing and en these are known as participles. So we have gone through all the aspects, we're talking about characteristics in terms of recognizing the verbs in the sentence. So now let us take up some sentences from the book English for Polytechnics by myself. I've just taken few sentences from there and try to work it out. If you still want to do more of it, you can always look up for the link below where I've given in Amazon.in. You can get this book and then you can go through that. You have all the answers given in the back side of the book as well. So what are they? For instance, everybody loves honesty. Now in this sentence, recognize all the parts of speech. So if I tell you who loves honesty, everybody. Everybody is a pronoun, and it's a pronoun, it's a subject, the pronoun subject. Everybody loves what? Honesty. It's again a noun, it's a noun object. Now I have a baby boy. So here the verb have. Have is a verb. Who has? I, subject to the sentence, pronoun subject. A baby boy. I have what? Boy. It's the object, because I and boy are two different things. And what type of a boy? Baby boy. It is the describing the boy. It's an adjective. He gave me an apple. Gave is the verb. Who gave me? He. He is the subject and the pronoun. He gave me what? Now here, two things are there. So there are instances you can have more than one object. If I ask the question, he gave whom? Right, WH word whom, the answer you get is me. Me is one object. He gave me what? Apple. Apple is another object. Object number one, object number two. Now, next one, silver and gold are precious metals. Which is the verb? Are. What are precious metals? Silver, gold. These are the subjects, the combined subject there. And silver and gold are what? Metal. Object, is it the object or complement? It is a complement because silver and gold and metal, they refer to the same thing. It's an adjective. What type of gold? It is what type of metal? It's a precious metal. That is also an adjective there. Now I recognized his voice at once. Recognized is a verb. Who recognized? I. Subject and pronoun. I recognized what? Voice. Voice is the object there. Now one thing here, whose voice? His. It is denoting that it's originally it's a pronoun, but it's denoting his voice, right? So hence it is actually acting like an adjective here. But if you get too confused, just write down pronoun. Alright, I recognize his voice when? At once. At once is an adverb because it's telling us about recognizing when. Okay. Still rivers run deep. Which is the verb there? Run. How does it run? Deep. It's an adverb. But what runs deep? Right? Rivers. So rivers is a subject. What type of subject? What type of rivers? Still rivers. Still is describing the river. River is a noun. Hence still is an adjective. Alright. All habits die hard. So die is a verb. Alright. And what dies hard? Habits. It's the subject. It's the noun. What type of habits? Old. It's describing the habits. It has an opposite word. Old, new. It's an adjective. And how do they die? Talking about more about dying. Hard, adverb. So with this, I come to the conclusion of the chapter on verbs. The third section of the parts of speech. We have still more to go. I hope you had an interesting session with me and you understood the concept fully and you are brighter in English. Thank you so much for watching.